Because today, this imagining a different future is the ultimate trap, I think. I saw recently a movie about German resistance against Hitler, where an English compromise guy said, but we must negotiate, we must keep the hope alive. And a German, very progressive German, fighting against the fascists, says, no, hope is for those who are hoping, waiting for another guy to do their work. Lose hope and start doing it. So let me begin with a wisdom of, you may find this funny, of Otto von Bismarck, whom I appreciate very much. He said, stupidity is a gift from God, but it should not be abused. I totally agree. I clearly remember how I abused it in a curious incident which happened to me a couple of decades ago. I was sitting at a table with a friend of mine who boasted that he is really good at telling the future from inspecting the curves on a palm. I laughed at his boasting and couldn't decide if he is just lying or if he sincerely believes in his supernatural ability. He interrupted my laughter with an offer. Why don't you let me inspect your palm and tell you your future? I vociferously objected to it. Absolutely no, I don't believe in such nonsense. But my friend instantly fired back with a quite logical reply. If you know it's nonsense, why then do you resist so forcefully to do it? What are you afraid of? I forgot, or more probably repressed my reaction. I just remember I didn't allow my friend to do it. The underlying structure is, of course, that of disavowal, Verleugnung. I know very well that it is all nonsense, but I still don't want to take the risk and test it. However, it is here used, the structure of disavowal, with a slightly different spin. Something like, I believe it, but I don't want it empirically tested and proven or disproven. For example, the true problem of the Turin shroud with the alleged photographic imprint of Christ resides in the potentially catastrophic consequences for the Church itself if the tests will indicate that the shroud is authentic from Christ's time and place. Why? Because if the shroud is authentic, then there are traces of Christ's blood on it, and some biochemists are already working on its DNA. So what will this DNA say about Christ's father? Not to mention the prospect of cloning Christ. Kierkegaard knew this very well when he emphasized that an authentic Christian believer does not try to demonstrate the factual truth of his, her, their, its belief. Making a belief dependent on empirical proof is in itself a negation of belief. In today's politics and the ideology that grounds it, we find all too often a similar logic. When Israel, as they say, the only democracy in the Middle East, justifies its measures in religious fundamentalist terms, God gave us full right over the entire great Israel, we are dealing here neither with an actual belief nor with a mere cynical manipulation. Their belief say that Palestinians are direct successors of the biblical Amaleks is quite literally beyond factual truth. Not even to mention Trump, as well as his spiritual colleague Putin, who are regularly doing the same. As Bismarck would have put it, they all serially abuse their stupidity, especially when they think they are acting in a cunning way. So what would a proper use of stupidity be? To remain faithful to one's just cause, even when a pragmatic realist view tells you that your situation is hopeless. I think Palestinians in Gaza are stupid to insist, to persist, to stay there. In this basic sense, there is something stupid in every serious decision. You ignore the complexity of a situation and reduce it to a simple choice, yes or no. So let me follow the stupidities of what goes on in the Middle East more in detail. I will focus on the immanent antagonisms of the Israeli ideology and practice, although I am well aware that this can also be read in a racist way, as if Palestinians are just objects and the key process is taking place in the inner struggle of the Jews. So let me begin by, it came to me spontaneously, a reaction to so-called Liebestod on piano that we just heard from Wagner's Tristan and Isolde. I am a Wagnerian fanatic. Yes, Wagner was an incredibly dirty, racist person, but you know that the first mystery, and he was aware of it, almost all his heroes, he says this, are figures of a wandering Jew. Vliegen de Hollander is a wandering Jew, Amfortas is a wandering Jew, a person with a strange wound which prevents him to die. So all their desire is to die in peace. And the point I want to make here, and this is now the proper part of my talk I am approaching, is that, again, in the honor of Daniel Barenboim, I want to mention a staging of Tristan in Bayreuth, 1982, repeated 83, directed, staged by Jean-Pierre Ponel. It's one of my shocking experiences. You know what they did? I hope you know the story. In Act 3, Isolde doesn't really come. Tristan is dying, desperate, but he is not able to confront the void, to die alone. So he imagines, as a vision, we see her appearing behind him, Isolde, singing her Liebestod, all brightly with under light, vividly presented. And then, when her singing ends, the stage is for 2-3 seconds in darkness. When lights come again, we see a totally different picture. Everything is darkness. Tristan is there alone, dead. No Isolde. She stayed happily with her husband. It was just an adventure for her. Why am I mentioning this? Because I think maybe something similar, I see a danger, will happen, is happening with the Palestinians in Gaza and on the West Bank. They may be caught in the hopeful dream of there are Western liberals, whoever, who sympathize with them, but at the end, they will remain alone. Let's not allow this.